Hello everyone, I'm here with Brian Holz, the CEO and founder of Mangata. We're here again at Playground VC, which is this wonderful space that they've let us borrow for today, this wonderful conference area and private kitchen area that they've given to us. Brian, it is wonderful to have you here. I know you have a long career that's all surrounding space and satellites. Can you tell us, first of all, how you started out?
Oh, I can. If you want me to go all the way back,
I want you to
I'll
go
go all the way back.
All the way back.
All right. I was a little kid in kindergarten or first grade in that summer when the first moon landing occurred. And I was sitting on a gymnasium floor, with a row of 4 black and white TVs. I can remember it to the day because it was such an important moment, I guess, in my life. And we watched the moon landing, and I set my path in life from that event.
Can you talk a bit about that satellite network that you're putting out there? Like, what does it look like? What is it? What's
so
it?
So when you start looking at humans and the things they use and where they are on the planet, they're not equally distributed, right?
Yep.
Land has got different weird shapes, and the population is concentrated. And really, I think most of the population and things we ride in, things we use, it's all concentrated on about 5% of the surface of the Earth.
Yeah.
So why design something that has uniform coverage that's going to cover 100% of the Earth when things are concentrated to 5% of the Earth surface? So we have a lot of experience, myself and my technical team, in designing systems for coverage, for pictures, for communications. So we looked at that problem, we modeled all the things in the Earth and where everybody is, and we designed a system using 2 different orbits that allows us to maximize the utilization of every individual satellite. And we went a little higher than low Earth orbit. Low Earth orbit is sort of like you're standing 10 feet away from a wall and you can see the whole wall, and then you move closer and closer to the wall, and then you only see a little bit of the wall. That's what a LEO does. It only sees a little bit of the wall. So the lower you are to the Earth, if you're in 400 to 500 kilometers, your satellite can only generate revenue 5 to 10% of the time that it's over people, because they're on such a concentrated area. By going a little higher, you can get utilizations up to 75-80%.
Wow.
And that's what we did. And then we combined some technology with digital processing and electronic beamforming, and we created a super efficient system where we can reuse the spectrum in a tremendous multiplier. And that allows us to provide capacity really inexpensively, almost to the point we can compete with new fiber deployments. So that's the satellite. It enables very low cost capacity anywhere on the planet, no matter what device it is, a mobile platform, anything.
So what I love about sort of your solution is that it's an elegant, thoughtful solution to a big global problem. I wanted to actually touch on purpose, right? Mm-hmm. Because the motivator for this was really around the purpose of trying to connect local communities. O3B is connecting the other 3 billion. What do you think the obligation is for entrepreneurs, technologists like yourself, when it comes to purpose and what you're doing for, in this case, the entire population of the world? Do entrepreneurs have an obligation to think about this?
Absolutely. I mean, look, today, the digital economy is controlled by, I think 80% of the digital economy is controlled by 7 companies. There's some statistics out there, and we can probably name the 7 companies. A large portion of the population, more than half of it, isn't contributing or isn't participating in it. And I think as a human on this planet, you can't leave half behind and expect the planet to get better. And the longer that goes on, the harder it is to re-engage and participate in it. And then out of the unconnected, believe it or not, a majority of them are women. And we just wanted to address that head on and do our best. You can't do that by not creating a business to enable that. A lot of people have tried different ways through funding in the World Bank or the United Nations or this or that. You have to have a good business behind it. So our company, we're creating a very inexpensive access technology where the more satellites we launch, the more efficient the system gets. And we're hoping 6-7 years into the business, the way we've structured it, that we can actually make the cost of the capacity be very little in terms of the types of services we're providing, almost free capacity. And in order to do that, you have to attack cloud services because that's where everything's going to be run at. So that's what we're doing. And we're going to show our purpose very early in the business. We've been working with the government of Scotland since before we started, actually. We had our first meetings before we incorporated. And by the time this video is shown, there will be a press release on a satellite manufacturing facility that Scotland is financing for us to be built in Prestwick, which will allow us to build our satellites. But the other nifty piece of it that probably won't get as much play as it should is that we're going to integrate a community network in Scotland in one of the cities where we're going to connect a small network of our data centers with a terrestrial network. And what we're using that for is to incubate content and application technology that's local to that area. Wow. So we're going to focus on remote education and healthcare applications and IoT applications. And then we'll incubate those ideas in this test network. Our customers can also use it for use cases, but it's really there to incubate new ideas and new applications. And then with a global system like ours, we can take those local applications, expose them to our investors, and help those companies scale now through investment and using our network globally. So we're gonna do what we say and say what we do. And we're replicating that model in a couple different areas. We have KTSat in Korea as a current investor. And we're going to implement a smart city network in Korea to explore technologies of that nature and then export those out. We also have Temasek as an investor out of Singapore.
Of course.
And Singapore is a big port city. And there's a lot of maritime applications around that. So we're building another one of these small networks in the port in Singapore that's going to focus on maritime. And that's an interesting application today because ships are not very well connected. They pay a fortune. The crews have no connectivity and they're at sea for 9 months. If they get sick, there's no one to take care of them. The operation of the ships moving around and the cargo and how it transits the port is in dire need of strong automation. So it's a beautiful application for us where we can develop core technology running on our infrastructure, so application layer services that now can integrate ship-to-port data, right? So much like you have your phone and you hit cookies, okay, share your data, the ship will do the same thing. And then we can take the data off the ship and generate applications so the port has situational awareness of the ships. So there's a lot of cool applications like that we're going to do. And we're going to replicate that model in several different communities around the world and take that model right out using 5 to 10% of our capacity to do what we said we were going to do and bring new applications outwards to the world.
Well, Brian, what I love about what you're doing is you're taking that dream of that kid in kindergarten, first grade, and you're making a globally impactful company that has purpose at its center. And I think that's just incredibly important. Thank you so much for being with us here today.
My pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity.